What is up, everybody? It's me, Trigger Happy Gamer, and today I have a story time. And I'm putting the mic on the keyboard. Sorry for the late upload. There's been things going on that are out of my control, but I should be prepared for this, so I shouldn't be this bad with uploading, and I apologize for that. Anyway, I'm here to explain why 2 weeks ago, why I wasn't, in fact, uploading a video 2 weeks ago. And it's kind of prolonged, I know, but it was an experience that I thought I'd share with you. I went to a furry convention. So the reason I went was one of my good friends wanted to go, but his parents didn't want to go, and he wasn't allowed to go alone. So I was like, yo, I'll go with you. It'll be fun, friend. And we went. I can't drive, so we took a train, and it was in a hotel. So it was already a very weird convention. The only other convention that I've gone to was Comic-Con Utah, and that was 3 years ago when I went. So I don't really have that much experience with conventions. So we got there, and we had no idea what to do. So we signed in. You had to have parents' permission to go if you were above the age of 15. We signed in, and I was like, okay, cool. And we actually ran into another friend of mine who I already knew was a furry just because he told me. And he was sitting there with his guitar. And we were really lost on what to do, me and my friend, because we're awkward. And this convention was actually full of a lot of people from my age, like 17 to 25. That was probably the more generalized range that I saw, like around those ages. And that actually kind of surprised me. I was expecting to see older people, but I'm not complaining. Everybody was actually really friendly there. The main events were basically dance competitions, panels, Cards Against Humanity, but you had to be 18 to be in that. So I didn't get to play Cards Against Humanity, but but I will tell you a few things that I noticed. Everybody, and I mean everyone, was very patient with us, as like the younger people there, just in general. I had me and my friend, so I'll call one Steve and one Paul. Paul is the one who's too afraid to talk to people, and Steve's already he's a veteran at this point, even though he's like 15. And so me and Paul don't know what to do, so Steve would drag us around, introduce us to people, and all that stuff, and show us all the fun things they had in common. I can say I've seen someone dressed as a raccoon beat someone up with a pizza, but this story's a mess. So I actually met a lot of nice people, and I actually met some really cute guys, and you'd think that's kind of weird, but there's this one guy who was really, really buff, and he had he wasn't the bodybuilder buff, but you could tell he worked out, and he had these ears and a tail on, and I was like, you look so out of place to me. There's also a really realistic sloth that pretended to beat someone up with a sign. There was a lot of violence, and I was uncomfortable with the violence. Just thinking back on it and trying to explain it is weird. I think the weirdest part was that we had a bunch of inflatable foods, and you're like, you probably like, Tori, what did they inflatable foods? Well, the inflatable foods are, if you go to a pool and you have the inner tubes and those little rafts you lay on, it was those, but they're supposed to be designed to look like food, which included pizza, donuts. We also had some bowling pins, fake inflatable bowling pins in a bowling ball, an inflatable, and some jack-o'-lanterns, because again, this was Halloween time. And I don't think I've run into more people acting so childish, and I loved it. It was really fun, and by the end of the second day, I was having a blast. I met people, I talked to people, I watched the dance competition, which, by the way, honestly surprised me how well people could dance in those costumes, because I think I would die in those costumes. And by the end of it, I mean, I guess you could say I'm a furry now. I actually joined the community, and I have been talking to a lot of people in the community on a regular basis now over the internet that are in Utah that I met at the convention, and it's absolute mayhem. And we all act like children. So if you're wondering, yes, this character is quote-unquote a fursona. Again, I usually have trouble being like, oh, this is supposed to represent me. And yes, she's weird colors. It's part of a creature species I'm working on. But honestly, it was a very fun experience. And if you have a chance to go to one of these conventions, I would highly recommend it, as long as it is child friendly, because I don't think I would be very comfortable if, well, I wouldn't be able to go if it were non-child friendly, but I wouldn't be comfortable either way. But, you know, the community was great. I actually didn't